Hello everyone. Welcome to this episode of High Caliber. I'm your host Martin Riggs. Today I've got a special battle for you featuring the Tier 6 Premium American battleship, the Arizona. Now you're probably thinking that the Arizona looks quite a lot like the New Mexico. And in fact you would be correct. This is almost a carbon copy of the New Mexico, but it has a few slight tweaks that greatly change its playstyle. Notably, the Sigma is significantly higher on the Arizona than on the New Mexico. Now, although they both have the same 356mm guns, and they both have 12 of them, the New Mexico has what could affectionately be defined as a shotgun type dispersion pattern. When you fire the New Mexico guns, you're really just hoping for the best. They could go, honestly, absolutely anywhere. With the Arizona, however, it has a much better Sigma, which essentially means that there is a higher likelihood that the shell grouping is going to be more closely concentrated together. So it's essentially more accurate, even though the overall dispersion is no different. But you're going to get more consistent shell groupings, and you're going to get to see that here. We'll highlight it in a couple of shots throughout this game, actually. Now, for those of you that were fortunate enough over the Pearl Harbor Memorial Weekend here, there was a mission to obtain this ship for one day on rental. And I myself completed this mission as well. That's how I obtained the Arizona here. And this is one of the few games that I got to play with it over the weekend. And the guns did troll me a bit, I must admit. However, this game they were pure gold. So with the Arizona, you get the spotter plane. You also, I believe, have the option of a fighter. And you have a traditional heel for a battleship. I'm also using my Montana Captain. So it's a 19-point Captain with a full tank build, which helps us out a little bit here, without a doubt. And I usually end up picking the spotter plane over the fighter on a battleship basically every time, and that's not because I want the extended range. The range is actually okay on the Arizona. It's not bad, it's not great. But I use it for shots where you're trying to hit cruisers over islands and such. And it also makes it a little bit easier to land those big citadels. And here's a Montecalcoli. They were sailing broadside, reversing even. So we took that shot real quick, and we land 9 out of 12 shots fired. 8 overpens and 1 citadel. And that is a huge chunk of their health gone. So if you're learning how to play the Italian cruisers, you don't want to spend a lot of time reversing. They're very squishy ships. Their maneuverability is the key to their survivability. And that's not just true because it rhymes. They are very mobile ships. They move at pretty good speed. They have really nice turning circles, really good rudder shift. You need to be using that to your advantage. Sitting still makes you a sitting duck. So again, we're taking a shot at longer range here. We get 3 pens for 10,000 damage. Pretty consistent for a shell grouping at a Tier 6 battleship, in all honesty. Looks like we have the CV starting to move in. Still looking for that Montecalcoli to pop back out, but we don't have a shot with the island there. And these planes are going to come in on us. So I'm going to try and slam on the brakes, turn away to make sure I only take one of these torpedoes. You also notice that I take the torpedo in the torpedo bulge area. if you can, there are a lot of instances where you might be unable to avoid a torpedo. But if you take it on the bow or stern, you don't have your torpedo protection up there usually. So you're actually going to take more damage from that torpedo. But if you take the torpedo and the torpedo bulges, that's where you get that torpedo protection. So it's going to reduce a certain percentage of that damage for you. Got this Helena. Now I think they're going to start reversing. They've realized they've made a whoopsie. They're going to try and get back behind that island. Going to use the spotter aircraft here as well. Land a big hit there for almost 17,000. Pretty decent shot here with the guns. Very accurate and consistent so far. Haven't had anything too strange happen. And you can also shoot at targets that aren't even detected. You see how you got all those tracers right there? I'm going to take a shot at those tracers. The only way I could do this is if I was using spotter plane. Now the Helena hasn't moved, so these look pretty good. And we're actually going to knock them out with a Citadel. So there's a target we never spotted there. Able to knock them out of the game because of the spotter plane. And this also works if something's sitting in a smoke screen as well. So maybe you're playing higher tiers. You're dealing a lot with Smolensk, potentially. Sitting in smoke screens, maybe a Minotaur. Especially with the shell arc of the Americans. Really, really good when combined with the spotter plane to take those shots and try and get, you know, some cheeky citadels or something. Or even just some pen damage. Just make them nervous a little bit. Make them maneuver. You just want to make sure your enemy's uncomfortable. Got a shot at the Trento here. Got 4 pens there. Pretty good damage. 15,000. Again, what do we see there? An Italian cruiser. Very, very stationary. You really want to avoid that. And take a look at this here. We've got this Mahan sneaking into our cap. Now this accomplishes 2 things that definitely favor the enemy team. So first off, obviously the Mahan can cap in 3 minutes and win the game. But even if they fail to cap, what they're doing right now is they have stopped our points gain. If you look up the top there, you see the enemy, they're still ticking up in points, but we're not. So every 3-4 seconds, they're getting 2 points. We're getting no points. So that points gap is actually spreading and in favor of the enemy. So that is something that's really going to come into play later on. You'll see that then, and I'll touch back on it a little bit later. But it also makes some of our forces have to retreat back to base. So we might be engaged in a conflict here out on this northeastern flank. We have to start rotating back toward our own cap, which might put us at a disadvantage. See the dispersion there? The shell grouping is pretty solid again. Get 3 pens there on the Peter Velecki. So you can see somewhat regularly, shell grouping is pretty close together. And that's really what you want out of a battleship. It's one of the reasons that I've really been liking the Thunderer, is you just get consistent shell groupings. It allows you to land shots and feel comfortable and confident that you're going to be able to contribute some damage to the target that you're shooting at. We're going to take a shot at the Peter Velecki here. And they look to be turning in a little bit, so I imagine this shot will probably be a bit high. 1 pen, looks like the gun probably absorbed that pen. You might notice that sometimes when you're shooting a target, if you get a penetration but you get no damage, most likely it hit the gun. So the guns have their own pool of hit points essentially, and if you hit that, it doesn't detract or take away from the hit points of the actual ship itself. It just reduces the hit points of the gun. And should the gun lose all of its hit points, that's when you see those turrets explode and the guns will get knocked out. Obviously we'd prefer the regular good old-fashioned damage, but what can you do? So we're trying to start making our way back towards the cap. The Mahan ended up leaving the cap. We've got the Perth and the Bliska. They're the closest ones to it. Got a pretty good push from the enemy towards our cap as well. You see they got the Congo, Azara, Marblehead, Montecuccoli, all supporting that Mahan. So we've got a sticky situation here. And this ship is not fast. For those familiar with the New Mexico, the New York, the Colorado even, you'll be well accustomed to the lack of speed. Trying to see if we can sneak a shot over this island here. I'm going to use the spotter plane to try and get a little better view of them. Looking for that mountain indicator to not be there. So we'll take this shot. Looks like a few of the shells hit. But we also got 4 pens for nearly 20,000 damage. So pretty solid overall, even though a few of those shells clipped the island. Got the Ranger coming in on us. Now normally I'd like to try and avoid these, but I don't want to show a bunch of broadside to the Congo because those torpedoes are going to hurt a lot less than a broadside from the Congo here. So they're pretty stationary. We got a good looking shot here. We take a chunk of damage ourselves and we're able to knock them out. And uh-oh, there's a Zara right here. I was caught off guard by this in the moment, I must admit. I did not realize they got that close. But I want to show you all a magic trick here. Everybody likes magic, right? There's a Zara here. I'm looking for torpedoes. And ta-da! No more Zara. So we fired 6 guns, we got 3 Citadels. And the Zara is no more. But I have to admit, at least as an Italian cruiser, they were moving. Mentioned earlier, a couple of the Italian cruisers on the enemy team here, they weren't moving around very much. But at least they were moving. They were a bit too close to us, but they were moving. So our Perth is doing a really good job here. They're in the cap, they're trying to defend it. And everything is hiding in smoke right now. There's a Montecuccoli, New Orleans, a Mahan over here. And so I'm just going as fast as I can towards the cap so that when they are spotted, I'm ready to provide some cover fire. We're down on points, we're down on ships. We're starting to run out of time in the game here. Just over 6.5 minutes left. There's the New Orleans. Montecuccoli pops up, very low health, and the Perth is able to take care of him. It's actually my division mate there, Darth Blackstone, so well done, Darth. And we're going to try and deal with this New Orleans now. But oh, there's a Mahan. Very low health Mahan. I call out the target thinking that Darth will probably be able to kill them as well, and they do. But unfortunately, at the same time, they also fall to the New Orleans. But we've got this New Orleans in a good spot here. They've got nowhere to go. They don't have torpedoes to threaten us. So we're just going to push straight at them. Bit unlucky with the dispersion there. But we do secure high caliber and Confederate with that salvo. We're going to continue to sail towards them and put pressure on them. Need to make sure we clear the cap before we turn back south. Again, the points are still an issue here. Down by about 160 or so points. Can this salvo get it done? Yes, we get the Citadel. So now we're going to start turning back south. Also have the Ranger torpedo planes coming in on us. Now the AA is not as good as the New Mexico, so that is the kind of the trade-off here. You get the better accuracy with the guns. AA is not as good, and we're actually able to absorb that torpedo before it's able to arm, so we didn't take any damage there. Very helpful. We've got this CV broadside as well. This Bliska's doing a good job. They're trying to take care of the CV, trying to keep them spotted. They're using their guns. And honestly, they probably should try and go dark right now. I don't know if they can because of the rocket planes. They're pretty low health. And if they could just keep the Ranger spotted, I could probably finish them off myself. But they're fighting hard. They got a lot of stuff going on, a lot to deal with. And when I pulled the trigger, I thought this was a good shot. But it was a crap shot. So I was a bit disappointed there. I don't know if that would have changed the outcome of the battle. In fact, it may have, because the Ranger might be able to get off another set of planes. I'm not sure if they do. But we're not going to make the same mistake twice here. We're going to line this up. Get a nice crisp shot here. One thing you can do is, with battleships especially, you can always verify on the mini-map where your little circle is, where your aiming reticle is. We did that there. We secure the Kraken with our 5 overpens. And we're still down just under 100 points, but we're still down. Now, if you kill an enemy battleship, it is a 100-point swing. So we need this Arizona to die if we're going to have a chance. And also the Bliska has to live. But unfortunately, these rocket planes are right on top of them. I'd assume at this point they're probably out of smoke. And they're actually rushing this battleship, which, in hindsight, is probably the wrong play. I understand in the moment you're thinking we need a kill. And it's perfectly understandable to think that, but their points in terms of living are so valuable, they probably needed to fall back. And they're very low health. Arizona's taking a shot at them. And they're going to take care of the Bliska there. So all in all, a good effort. I think if you had that one to play over again, you probably want to try and stay alive if possible. No guarantee that you could have done it anyway. But now you see, look at the points here. If I kill this Arizona, that would give us a 100-point swing, but we'd still be losing, unfortunately. And the Bliska's going to get 1 torpedo on the Arizona, which will help a little bit. But with just 2 minutes left in the battle, even if I kill this Arizona here, unfortunately, we're going to lose on points. And the Colorado is too far. You can see the Colorado up there, around like A7. I'm still 4 or 5 kilometers away from even being able to shoot at them, let alone kill them. So we're going to try and wear down this Arizona. But they're doing a good job here. And I want to highlight this, because you see what they're doing is they're angling, which is going to reduce the amount of damage that I can do potentially. See here, I get a lot of ricochets for no damage. And also notice what I do here, and I do this quite frequently when I'm playing battleships, is once you fire your guns, you should try and rotate and angle a little bit. You don't need to keep your guns on target when they're reloading. You only really need to turn to fire all your guns when they're actually loaded. So the Arizona's still staying bow in, doing a good job here mitigating the damage. We get 3,400 there, not too much. But I'm going to turn back in now that I've fired. That way the return fire won't be as substantial. Got just under a minute left here. 47 seconds. Arizona shots. See, they're mostly ricocheting. We're taking almost no damage here. But then the Arizona's going to make a mistake here. They're going to start to turn broadside because they're thinking, I want to get my back guns into the battle. This is a mistake that I see a lot of battleship players make. So look at the difference there. I'm able to do 19,000 damage to them. When they were bow in, I was averaging, what, 3,400 maybe? Not even. And in this situation, all you want to do is survive, really. But again, we're still down over 100 points, so even if we secure this kill, it's not going to matter. Our guns are going to reload in time, however, before the battle ends. And we're going to secure this kill, but it's all for naught, sadly. Still lost the battle, but well fought nonetheless. Really enjoyed it overall. I feel like this battle also highlighted some of the nice characteristics of the Arizona, which differentiates it from other ships, especially at Tier 6. So I hope you all got a chance to use the Arizona over the weekend. I certainly enjoyed the one-day rental that I had. I had some fun games. Didn't win a lot of games, but certainly churned out the damage. As you can see here, this was the best game. This was the highlight of the weekend for sure in terms of Arizona gameplay. But overall, pretty solid ship. It's slow, but the guns are accurate. AA is mediocre. It's not terrible. It's not great. It does have a lot of things going for it. And the history of the ship is obviously well known. It was sunk during Pearl Harbor, during the attack from the Japanese. Its magazines were... One of its magazines detonated as a result of a bomb attack, I believe. And unfortunately, the ship was never able to be raised. So, a lot of history behind the ship. It is a good ship if you like battleships. I do enjoy it. I could recommend it, certainly, if you like to play, mid-tiers, looking for a fun battleship. It is a good one. So, thank you all for watching. I'll leave a description or a link for our Twitch channel in the description below, should you like to check out some live gameplay. I stream almost every day, and we'd love to have you over there. Feel free to come by, ask some questions, and enjoy. All right, thanks for watching, everybody, and have a wonderful day.